on.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
And I'm Cathrine, co-host and bestie.
Co-host and bestie Cathrine.
Yeah.
We are in the pod lab. Welcome.
We've been in this pod lab trying to get things going and setting up. And yeah.
We've been working on it for like the last hour or so.
Well, almost, yeah.
And Muffin was in here helping us, my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And it got a little heated, in a way.
Well,
it was sweaty. Let's just say that. We're trying. Look at our beautiful camera scene.
It does look good.
We're really trying, friends. I know you can't see us yet, but we are working on bringing video to our podcast listeners so that you can see us as well as hear us.
Yeah.
And we're trying different ways to set up the camera. And all we have is my phone. We don't have an actual camera.
But it's not here, right?
Yeah, but then we got to learn how to work that.
That's not hard.
You don't think so?
No.
You know how to work it?
Well, I know the basics. We had that camera.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Canon EOS Rebel.
But then you have to get it out of the camera and into
that part, right? That I don't.
Into wherever it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
anyway,
you have Olivia.
Thank God. Okay. So anyway, friends, Cathrine and I we're experimenting.
We're learning.
We are. We're not too old to learn.
Educated.
So we're hopeful that soon we'll be able to actually show you. We're trying to show you.
Yeah.
All right. So for right now, we are doing episode number 113, and it is called Scamanda.
Man, is it a doozy. And cray.
She is cray. Thank you to our good friend Kim Teske, who gave us this suggestion.
That's right.
She knows that we're always looking for a good topic. And by the way, if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now and you have a topic that you want us to do, we do like to do the true crime here and there. We sprinkle it through maybe one a month or something like that. We try. So if you have a true crime thing that you want us to follow and just give our take on it, let us know. This Scamanda thing came up from our friend Kim, and we checked it out, and we're like, whoa.
Yes.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
We have a couple takeaways for you. First of all, we're going to tell you the crazy tale.
All right.
And
that'll be your first takeaway.
It is crazy. And our second takeaway is we're going to share tips on how you can avoid being scammed.
Oh my. That's not easy.
No, because the scammers are getting even more brazen. I would say this woman was brazen. She was like a brazen coyote. It was at your doorstep. No, in your living room.
Well, right. And this is more complicated. This is like, we're not going to give tips on how do you avoid being scammed through like the internet or, those pesky phone calls you get and things like that. This is different because it's someone these people knew
and trusted.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not that easy. Anyway, the third takeaway is we're going to share with you how to forgive when somebody has lied. Really hard. Really hard. We do have scripture, as always, and we have a call to action at the very end. So please stay tuned. Cathrine, for our listeners, just kind of a summary. What is the Scamanda thing all about?
Did you want to talk about sponsors?
I do, but now I have to take a drink of this coffee.
Oh, and so now I gotcha.
I've got a tickle right here. I have a tickle.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Stay away.
It's not that kind of tickle.
Yeah.
I think it's just
kind
of talking tickle.
Oh, just a brief summary. I don't even know where to begin. This...
Wait, no. Tell the friends about our sponsors. I can't say it, and that's why I was saying you say it.
I'm confused. Okay, I thought you said give them a brief summary, and then I said, how about the sponsors?
Right, and then I said, I can't say it. And so I was meaning for you to say it.
Getting mixed signals there. What do you want me to do? Okay, our sponsors. You could sponsor us by going to tracydegraaf.com, follow the prompts, and you have the choice to donate whatever you want. We typically ask for $5 a month, and that helps us offset the cost of putting on this podcast and all the stuff. Or you could do one lump sum. Some.
Got enough of those.
And anyway, we very much appreciate the sponsors we have. Thank you so much.
Yes, we do. Okay, now, summary. Scamanda. I call her Scamanda.
You do?
Yeah, Scamanda. You go ahead.
As I said, I don't even know where to begin. So brief summary. She's this young woman. People are attracted to her. She's vivacious. She's likable, okay? She's she's at first in a babysitter to this family. Then she becomes the wife of the husband of this family. And there's a custody battle involved. And she has a thing called, it's like Munchausen's, but also actitious disorder.
No,
So
it's not. Well, okay, back up one step.
Yeah.
It's I don't think that they have a definite diagnosis of that because it's really tough to prove that one has that. They have examples of her taking illnesses. That's what they have. Just full disclosure, because this woman will sue you if you do something, against her. Not that our little podcast is
Yeah.
going to get on her radar. But what I'm saying is there were physicians while she was in prison did say it looks like she has the characteristics of having fictitious disorder or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I probably misspoke by saying she actually has it, but there was a psychiatrist or psychologist on the documentary who said, I did not treat her, but after reading all of the information and following the information, looks like she has factitional disorder.
Yeah.
What used to be called Munchausen's. But on top of that, there's a layer of scamming. So she scammed thousands of, actually over almost $250,000 altogether of between cash and, gosh, plane ticket points and restaurant discounts and concerts, all kinds of things. I can't even list them all. There were so many. So, and this is over a period of 8 years that she did this. When she was suspected in the town where she originally said that she had cancer and she had her church involved, she then moved to a Christian school where she then did this again. And not really the authorities, well, the authorities later were closing in on her, but prior to that was this podcaster, or actually, it wasn't even the podcaster. It was
True crime journalist.
Yes.
The producer for True Crime.
That's right. She got a tip from someone who was anonymous at first, but later on she's out in the open about it. And then the IRS gets involved, and eventually she gets to court and she is found guilty. That's the short version.
And if you haven't watched the documentary, so there are multiple ways for you to get a heads up on this whole true crime, right? You can watch the documentary, which is like 4 episodes, I believe, and it's available on all the places where you get documentaries. You can watch Hulu. You can watch that. You can get it on Prime too, because we did, but we had to pay a little bit.
Oh.
But it was like $5 or something, so I was like, it's worth it. Okay, so you can watch the documentary. You can also listen to the podcast, which is just the audio. That's, I think, 8 episodes plus some bonus material. That's a little bit more in depth.
Oh, I didn't realize it was 8. Oh.
And then you could also just go on YouTube and look at, there's a lot of different media people that have interviewed the journalists that worked on this. So multiple ways for you to get the story. We're going to just give you the best way, the honest way, which is the only way we know, which is to just sort of pick it apart ourselves, like we're 2 friends talking about it. When I looked at her picture, she's a beautiful young girl.
She really is.
Okay, so here's a beautiful young girl. She's attractive. She's charismatic. She's easy to talk to people. She's adorable. Why couldn't she just put those skills to work? Get herself some money that way.
Well, of course, that's where your brain goes. All the effort that she put into her blogging. Okay, so if you're wondering, how did she get away with this for so long? It's because of HIPAA. So she claimed, did I even say that she claimed that she had cancer? So people felt sorry for her. And again, like I said, she was very likable. And because of HIPAA laws, even the detective that was onto this, he couldn't even get records from the hospitals to prove whether or not she indeed had cancer. That's the part that is so jaw-dropping. And the only way that they were able to find that out, I don't even remember all the details because it was like, you had to jump through one hoop to get to another, to get to another. But I know that once the IRS was tipped off somehow, she got busted for wire fraud.
Right.
Which I was like, what is that?
Well, tell our listeners what wire fraud is.
Well, what I understand it to be is when money is transferred, like interstate, over
Wire.
over the wire,
like
yeah,
email or whatever, the
right,
internet.
right, for the purpose of to gain your scam, for the purpose of your spin.
It's nefarious purposes. So it's
Yeah.
like if she was honest, if she just said, "Hey, I need some money now, and I'm just out here like pretending to have cancer." If she was telling the absolute truth, could get people to give her money, that's not a crime. It's actually not even a crime to lie. She can lie about having cancer, but what she can't do is ask people for money because she has cancer.
Right.
Now she is deceiving people who are digging into their pockets to give her money.
Right.
So that's the crime. So it's part of the financial crime department. And the IRS, these people were tough.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought about IRS agents as just like little accountants with calculators.
Oh, no.
This woman had a gun.
In a vest.
Yeah, she did. She looked like she could kick some booty.
Yeah, these people are actual cops.
Okay, so let's back up a step.
Yeah.
So here's this Scamanda. She's, like you said, it's the film or whatever, it started out with her like she was 17 and she was the babysitter, or not a babysitter, but she came to do extracurricular activities with these kids because the one little girl actually had cancer.
The cancer that Amanda later said that she had, which was leukemia. It was lymphoma, something, Hodgkin's, leukemia. It's the exact cancer that later Amanda says she has. So the young girl she had cancer and she couldn't go to school, couldn't participate in extracurricular activities because of her immune system so low.
So she had to be kind of isolated. The mom heard through her sister, the mom's name was Alita. Alita hears through her sister, "Oh, if you'd like, I know this wonderful young lady. Her name is Amanda. She's 17 years old. And she's into cheerleading, and she could come over and tutor your girls and teach them how to cheer and everything."
Yeah, and she says you'll really like her.
Oh,
and Alita does.
Yeah, everybody likes her.
Everybody likes her.
So here comes Amanda with her little cheerleading stuff, and she teaches the girls how to cheer. All right, so now they're in a competition. Did you see that?
I did.
Okay, so they're in a competition, and the girls are out there, and Amanda is out there with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
And then she didn't like the score.
Yeah.
That they got. And so she convinced these little girls to go talk to the judge and ask the judge to amend their score.
And they actually show the little girls going up to the judges and poor girls. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then lo and behold, little Miss Amanda some way somehow gets the eye of Dad.
Yeah.
And Mom and Dad, then Alita and her husband Corey, they get divorced. Mm-hmm. Oh, and guess who Corey's going out with? Amanda. Now I hope by now she's 18 or 19 or whatever. Like, she's not illegal. But those two then get married. So Corey and Alita divorce. Okay. Corey and Alita have these two little girls. One of them is Corey and Alita's little girl, Jessa. And then the other little girl, Jamie, is the one who had cancer. That was Alita's daughter from another relationship. So she was actually Corey's stepdaughter.
Oh, I thought she was from Corey's previous relationship.
No, she was Alita's.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now this family is broken up because Amanda now is with Corey. And Corey and Amanda they get married and they start their little family. And now all of a sudden they want full custody of Jessa, who is Corey's daughter with Alita.
Yes.
Okay. And they go to battle for that. And they start this big battle about it. Well, then all of a sudden, here comes Amanda. I've got cancer. And she starts telling everybody she's got cancer, and now everybody feels bad for her. Alita felt very bad for her.
Yeah, she did. So she kind of laid off a little.
She did.
Yeah. And they gaslit her. They lied about her, said she was crazy.
I'm sorry, but Alita did not deserve what she went through.
Neither did the girls.
when this mom, this Mama Lita, she's being interviewed by the documentarian, whatever they call themselves. She's crying. Now, it's been years since this has happened. Many years, actually. She's crying because she said she actually had to give up her daughter. She lost custody.
She had to leave her in the courtroom.
Can you imagine the pain of that?
No.
Over a bunch of lies and whatever. I don't know how the judge decided to side with. That's neither here nor there. You can't get that back.
No.
Like, that's really painful. Okay, so then now this family's broken. Amanda's faking cancer, but so far she's kind of, I think she's just trying to get the sympathy, nod. Like, feel sorry for me, you feel bad for me. She all of a sudden starts going to this mega church. She hadn't been going to the church before.
No.
But she shows up at church and she's like, wah, wah, I have cancer. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
What?
And she was involved right away in a lot of extracurricular, church activities. And that's how they all knew her. And that's how they all got to trust her.
Yeah, they had this thing for like younger adults and it was called Encounter. And it would be like on a certain Tuesday night of the week or whatever. And then she would go to all this and connect. And she told her sob story and they put her up on stage. Because that's what we do in the church.
Yep.
Like, we do want to hear testimony of what people are going through and how God is answering prayer. She says things like, don't look away when God is about to give you a miracle or whatever. You might just miss it. I mean, all this stuff.
She catches on. For a person who did not grow up in church and she's new to church, she said that she didn't grow up in church. She caught on to that Christian lingo quickly, in my opinion, because she said all the right things that churchy people say.
She did.
She knew exactly what to say, how to say it. She was so believable.
She was pulling on heartstrings is what she was doing.
The thing.
And I really think that is so abusive to the church. And
absolutely.
I think that you have somebody to answer to, Miss Amanda. Then she started where there was this one church service where she's speaking, and they actually have videotape of this. So it must have been entered into evidence somewhere. Anyway, she's on stage, and she's saying how bad she's got this cancer and that it's costing her so much money. People start coming up with cash and putting it at her feet, literally, dollar bills.
I love the way the one girl, I forget her name, but prior to her coming to, this is a big mega church, by the way. Prior to her coming to this church, she was an atheist. And when she's being interviewed, I hope she hasn't lost her faith, because she's quite sarcastic. And she's like, the fog machine. Of course, the fog machine is there because the fog machine was there when they put the money at her feet. And she looked at Amanda as like a rock star. She looked up to her.
She did.
And she wanted to do whatever she could to help her. And she didn't have money, so she gave blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she made it into the Team Amanda video and everything. And the way she tells it is snarky, I guess you could say.
And she gave blood. She gave platelets.
Yeah.
To the point where the medical people were saying you can no longer give any more platelets because it's not going to be healthy for you. You can only give so many. But she wanted to do what she could.
Yeah.
And she wanted to help. Okay, so Amanda would keep up her ruse by faking going to the hospital. So she would fake a stomach ache or fake a whatever ache. Get into the hospital, and then she would pose in all these different positions, like this would be her.
Yeah.
Right. Her nose.
Tracy's got the cord for her headphones up by her nose like it's oxygen.
Yeah, and she would steal like a hospital gown. She stole stuff or somehow took from the hospital, whether she stole it or she did it like where they said you can take it home.
Yeah.
Tubing and stuff so that she could take all these pictures.
Yeah, because the whole time I'm wondering how is she getting away with it? How is she in the hospital? And that's when it's later revealed. Yeah, she's in the ER most of the time. But I was confused too because her mother, Peggy, said that she had gone with her on some visits. Well, when I really thought about it, I'm like, you know what? That could be easily, she could have been duped too. I don't know if she's guilty or not. A lot of people they're not sure with Peggy or the husband, Corey, whether or not they knew what she was pulling.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's up to the courts to decide.
Yeah.
I can say this. I am an actual cancer survivor.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go through cancer, wasn't threatening my life at the moment, because I had stage 1 breast cancer. I still had surgery and I had to go to appointments. And guess what? Every appointment I had either you or Ron with me.
Yeah.
Not like I went by myself. Couldn't have faked that easily.
No.
I went through radiation treatment every day for 3 weeks, so 21 days. So, I was back and forth. Now that I did go by myself because, it was every day and I was well enough to drive and all of that.
Yeah.
But I do think that Peggy and Corey, mom and husband, they had to have suspected something
at some point.
Whether or not they knew it was full blown, I don't know. But I think it would be very difficult to hide those things.
I think so too. I think the podcaster producer, or I'm sorry, the documentary producer woman, I think it was her that said, I just think that maybe he might have been innocent in the beginning, but had to have later on started picking up on it.
Right.
Then he's probably so deep in it, he's not, I don't know. Of course, I don't know, but I just don't see how he couldn't have known.
Well, they were very specific about, we have to go to New York for this treatment. It's going to cost this much money.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you think that if the spouse, I'm not saying him specifically, but any spouse in this situation, wouldn't you think you would know if you were $10,000 in debt because of cancer treatments or whatever?
Unless, she took care of all the finances and he really did put his head in the sand. I could see that happening.
Guilty.
Totally, I could see that happening. Because here's the thing, though, too. They were in debt and they did file bankruptcy. So he knew that. Whether or not he believed it was from, I think they were in debt before she even had the cancer.
They did disclose in the documentary that all of the debt that they had filed bankruptcy for was not cancer debt. It was not medical debt. It was just regular debt. Yeah. It was just like lifestyle debt.
Yeah.
So who knows in terms of that? Okay.
Right.
So now here's Amanda. She's broken up this family. Her and Corey did. Mm-hmm. She's charged, or she has accused Alita of being a terrible mom, a terrible person. Let's get her kid away from her. They don't want to pay child support. Oh, all these things. Now she's at this church. She's connected. This community. They are coming around her. They love her. They're doing meal trains for her.
Yes.
I've been the brunt of the blessing of a meal train.
Yeah.
I've been on both ends of the meal train.
Yep.
I've received, I've given.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do in the church.
Right.
We give food.
Yeah.
You've got a problem, we'll bring some food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she had all of that. People were donating their airline miles. They were giving her all kinds of gifts in kind. Okay.
Yeah.
And then she starts doing like a GoFundMe type thing on a website. So now she has a support team, Amanda, whatever it is, website,
right,
where she is putting it out there to the internet. And she has this blog. Mm-hmm. And she had the blog for years.
Yeah.
And so this Nancy, okay, wait. Let's talk about the woman who turned her in. I have forgotten her name, but she was like her mama, was like her church mama.
Oh, Lisa.
Okay, Lisa.
You mean her friend?
Yeah, she was older.
Yeah, Lisa. Okay. Yep, and
okay,
Barry.
Let's talk about her.
Lisa Barry.
Okay, whatever her name is.
Yep.
She was an older woman, like kind of like a mom age to Amanda, and she called her like her church mom or something like that. They were close.
Yeah.
And Amanda says she's got to go to the doctor to get fluid drained off her brain.
Yep. She comes back with the itty bitty Band-Aid, those little circle ones behind her ear.
Wart, like a little wart Band-Aid.
Yeah, exactly. Little pimple. And what does she do when she gets back the same day?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't go for a swim when you've had your brain fluid drained? Right?
Right.
And so Lisa's like,
right.
That's weird.
What do we do now?
Also, Lisa had, prior to that, told Amanda about somebody in their community who had cancer and that the community rallied around him and fundraised.
Whatever.
Why am I not saying
right?
Did some fundraising. And he was, blessed by the fundraising.
Right.
So, what did little Amanda?
She's like, oh, I don't feel good.
Yeah. So I think she, first she had the little girlfriend when she was 17 or whatever she was, actually had the leukemia cancer. Now it's Fast forward to I don't know how many years. I couldn't keep up with all the back and forth. But now she hears about this person in the community. So seeds are planted in her head, I think.
And by the way, the community that they're in is like the San Jose, California community.
Silicon Valley.
So there's some money there. And so here's Amanda, fresh from her brain drain. She's at the pool with Lisa, swimming, whatever, going into her brain hole. And Lisa's going, something's not right.
Yeah.
And there had to be other red flags too. Okay, now fast forward to I don't know when it was that this Nancy, who she was the producer of the crime show, okay, she put a little thing out there on social media, clickety clack, I'm looking for scamming stories.
Yeah.
If you know of a scam story, let me know.
Yeah.
So Lisa contacted her.
Yeah.
And she gave her this whole thing.
Yeah. She gave her a gamut of reasons why she should look into this Amanda.
Yeah.
And it was, she was very organized. And by then, Lisa was convinced. And it was also because he had cut their friendship off. Her and her husband cut their friendship off from Amanda and Corey prior to this happening because Amanda said she had cancer back in whatever year it was, 2010 or whatever it was. And then I think about 2 years later, up on social media and the blog, Lisa sees that she's got terminal cancer again.
Yeah. And they had donated not only money to her, which they did, quite a bit. They had invested emotions in her. They had a relationship with her. And then to have her betray all of that, it's very painful. This Lisa goes to Nancy and says, I got a story for you. But she said, I want to be anonymous. Okay. Well, she eventually changed her mind on that and came forward that she was the whistleblower or whatever. Now Nancy goes to work.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a ton of work. I mean, everybody who was involved said that she just had paper everywhere and just much digging.
Yeah. So what she did was she started with the blog. Amanda had this blog, which was so detailed for 3 years. Nancy just started with every little factoid in the blog
that she checked. Everything.
She was checking everything.
That's how she became convinced that this was legit.
However, she said that she would vacillate back and forth from, the story, nobody would lie about this. Nobody would fake cancer. And the degree to which Amanda researched that particular disease so that she could talk about it.
Yes.
Come on now.
Well, who better to get information from the girl that was now her stepdaughter? I mean, she knew what she went through, and one thing that made me laugh, in Amanda's blog, she says, boy, when you're looking to find out more about your disease, the doctors don't tell you anything, and the internet is not your friend. Well, that's where she got all her information. But she says things like this. It's so convincing. It's unbelievable how convincing.
It's sad. Yeah. She made some major mistakes, though, with her blog. And this is part of what got her, convicted, is she would say, I'm doing this trial on this particular medication. And she would mix up medications that they were giving together. And it was proven that the doctor would never do that.
Yep.
And then she said, they're going to let me take my medication home with me and I'm going to self-inject.
Right.
Well, guess what? First of all, she claimed that this was a clinical trial.
And it wasn't.
And I didn't know this until I researched it, but when one is in a clinical trial, every single thing is dotted and, it's all monitored because it's a trial.
Yeah.
So it can't be left to random Scamanda
going
home and shooting up. And it needs to be an IV. It's not just an injection.
Yeah.
Because it has to be reconstituted. It has to be at a certain temperature.
They have to monitor you.
So, by the way, the other thing that I wanted to mention is when she was posing for all these pictures while she was in the ER, there was another person that did this is how she might have done it. She would change out hospital gowns, in the same photo shoot. She would take multiple.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
To make her hair look different and stuff, and switch up her jewelry, change her fingernail polish.
All that effort.
I'm like,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So clearly this woman has a lifelong problem Because I would venture to say that she probably had issues when she was a child with telling fibs. Maybe it just grew.
Yeah, they show some childhood friends from when she was in 6th grade and up, and this friend did say that Amanda liked to stand out. Like they all knew that she would make up stories, but they just kind of dismissed it because at the time they were inconsequential. They wasn't a big deal. It's just, oh, that's just Amanda. But she did do things like that, and I know that it was raised, you can't help but think, she's got brothers who did support her in this cancer journey. Her parents, odd because her mom, Peggy, seems to be involved. The dad made flyers for her. At the same time, the family babysitter says things like, "Where's your mother? How come she's not here helping you?" And also, not only her, but Amanda's best friend, Rebecca, also, who actually became friends with Amanda because she knew Amanda's mom first, Peggy. And she says, "Hey, Peggy, what's going on?" Actually has this because the church was alerted by the detective guy.
Yeah.
And then it starts to leak through and people are questioning, but Amanda, she just keeps going at it. She's unbelievable because she doesn't stop.
I think that perhaps people like that just feel as though there are going to be no consequences. And okay. But I mean, I think they believe their own lies, even though they know that they're telling lies.
Yeah.
I just don't think they think there are consequences.
Well, and a lot of people say that she is narcissist. Of course, they haven't diagnosed her, but she's got all the traits of one. She definitely has those traits. So they don't see them wrong.
Yeah. The babysitter, I loved the babysitter.
I know.
She was feisty. And she said that the mom was buying like a vacation home at the same time that Amanda was asking for money for life-saving treatment. The babysitter was like, that doesn't add up. Because if my child's life was at risk, I wouldn't be buying a vacation home.
Yeah, which led me to think the mom didn't really know.
Either she didn't know or she knew, and so there's nothing to worry about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem too like, why does Amanda need so much attention? Did she not get it growing up? But then again, a narcissist, you can't explain it. I don't know why they're like that.
You probably can't give them enough attention.
Right.
I don't think there's enough attention in the world that you can give a true narcissist.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, then Nancy is knee deep into this blog and she's fact checking everything. And now she's got all of her evidence. She's involved this Martinez, who is the local cop. He's the local detective.
That's right.
He says, well, we can go after her at a local level, but,
let's get her federally.
Yeah, he said that it was easier to go with the federal thing because she was doing wire fraud and it was going all over the internet, all over the world. It's just a wider net. So they went to the feds and they got this detective or whatever, Agent Lee or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
I forgot her name.
I did too.
But she was the IRS agent. So anyway, they got her involved. And once they got her involved, when you get the federal government,
look out,
coming down your throat,
look out.
And they pretty much had to shut off Nancy and they shut off Martinez. Now they don't give them any more information. Now it's the federal job to get this all. And it took years. They investigated for 5 years.
Yeah.
And Nancy was getting frustrated because she's like, just arrest her already. Because she could see that she was hurting people.
She was still taking money.
Yeah. Then finally, they get it all together. Now they're going to do the raid.
Yeah.
Did you watch that part?
I did.
Okay. So now they're sitting out. What do they call that? A stakeout. They got a stakeout.
Yeah. I got to say this, by the way, too. When I went to watch the documentary, this is confusing. This does not seem like the beginning. And then I actually accidentally watched the 4th episode first. I'm like, I don't like the way they introduce these people. I was like, what the? Then I said to Kenny, I'm like, oh my God, I watched the 4th episode first because that was the stakeout.
Oh, that's funny. So the stakeout, I wish I could go on a stakeout. I think it would be adrenaline rush. Okay, so at the stakeout, it's like 4 a.m. or whatever. Sun's not even up. And there are all these big black SUVs out in front of Scamanda's house. Scamanda and Corey and the kids are in the house, okay? They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know this is coming.
Oh, and by the way, Alita is there too.
Yes,
they get a tip off because even though Nancy and they were in the dark, but yet they picked up on the fact from the IRS that there was going to be this raid. So now
justice.
Yeah. So Alita's there.
So there's Alita, the ex-wife, who was totally wrong.
Yeah, and her sister, I think.
By these crazy people. Okay, so anyway, there's, I don't know, a dozen agents or whatever. They've all got guns. They've got vests. They're banging on the door. Police, warrant. We've got a warrant.
Like, yeah, in this suburban neighborhood.
Could be like right here.
It could be, yes. It looked like Plainfield to me.
So anyway, then Corey, you can hear his voice and he says, what's going on? Because they're just waking up. And I found out that that's the way they do it so that they catch you by surprise. Like they do not want you to get rid of evidence. They want you to have time to think on your feet.
Right.
They want to catch you in a sleep.
Yeah.
So you wake up to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then they're sitting there and Martinez notices that there's some Xanax pills over here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's thinking that Scamanda's on the Xanax. He's thinking she's going to be chill. And she was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he can't prove that she took the Xanax that day.
Yeah.
But she was just sitting there all like this, like all loosey-goosey.
She's like, you're Martinez.
Yeah.
Matter of factly.
And then she said, are my kids going to be able to go to school? Like, this is her big concern.
Right. And there's literally SUVs in her yard.
Yeah. The U.S. government.
They're all like,
house.
Hut. They got the vests on. How do you, seriously?
Hey,
I think you got to smoke.
I would have to change my underwear at
Oh, girl. No kidding. I'd probably start crying or something.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Just see you. Oh,
I know.
What's happening?
I can't even imagine.
Oh, God. Okay. Anyway, they haul out all this evidence, and now she knows jig is up. Like, this is happening.
Yeah.
So what does she do? As you pointed out earlier in our episode, she moves. She moves like 40 minutes away. Bye-bye. To a new community. Gets a new job.
What do scammers do when they're found out?
They move to the next one.
They move and they lie.
Yeah.
They cut people off.
I mean, honestly, I think that she should have just cut her losses.
Well, a normal person would probably have crumbled at that point.
Because you know what? I don't know if this was in the documentary or if this was in the podcast. So I'm not sure if where it came from. But Nancy, a crime investigator, the journalist, she said if Amanda had just stopped when the FBI raided her house, if she had just done nothing else and stopped, she would have never gone to jail.
Really?
Well, so this must have been in the podcast. She said that what happened was Amanda sued Nancy. She sued her because she said it was all Nancy's fault that her life was falling apart. Nancy,
of course she did.
The journalist who was investigating her crime caused, according to Amanda, caused her to lose her job, caused Corey to lose his job.
It's everybody else's fault.
Of course it is everybody else's fault. Well, they proved it in court, and it cost Nancy like $200,000 just to defend herself.
No.
Wait.
Oh, yeah, that was not in the documentary.
Okay. And she had the fortitude to stand up to it. And of course, she won. What happened was because Amanda sued her, somehow took that HIPAA thing down. You know what I mean?
Oh,
because Amanda sued her, then it became, okay, now you don't have the HIPAA thing. Something like that.
Because they had to prove that she did not have cancer.
Yeah.
And the only way to prove that is to get the record.
Right.
That part of that was in the
Now, I'm not a lawyer, in case you haven't noticed, but I'm guessing that that's what she meant by when she said if she had just stopped and the FBI was in her actual house, she could have avoided prison. Okay, so now
that's hard to believe.
Now there's proof that this woman does not have cancer, never had cancer. And she's bilked people out of lots of things: money, time, effort, emotions, everything. Okay, reputation, everything. And it's time for her sentencing. The judge can make a determination of what to, because she's found guilty.
This before she moved on to that school, the Christian school?
Oh, no, tell the story about the school, because I kind of fast forwarded past that.
Oh, Amanda doesn't, cower because all the authorities are closing in on her. They have raided their house. They have all of this evidence. What does she do? She becomes principal at a Christian school.
Yeah.
About 40 minutes away. Yeah. Something like that. And And this family comes in and they're touring the school. They have a son who has, I forget the name of it, but what it is childhood Alzheimer's. Couldn't believe how awful.
Yeah.
And anyway, Amanda prays with this family. And I just think to myself, oh my gosh, how bold, how awful. And she tells this little child, I've had cancer. I know what you're going through. And guess what? The cancer's back. It comes back like I don't know how many times. And this time it's fourth. She even said she had cancer, got pregnant when she was doing the chemotherapy and treatment and all. It's lies upon lies. So here she is now. She's the principal at this Christian school. And there were a couple people there that were like, that's, things didn't add up there either.
Yeah.
And then did she go or what? How did they close in on?
Well, they had another employee at the school who actually had cancer.
Yes.
And that woman died.
I know.
And what they did was they were raising money to help pay for that woman's treatment, and they split the money with me.
I think Amanda could not stand other people were getting attention for their illnesses.
Right.
Started with later became her stepdaughter,
Jamie.
Yep. And anybody else in her, path. She wanted Lita's life.
She did.
And she constantly blogged, my perfect family, and we've got the kids and my perfect husband. It was like she was writing story the way she wanted it, her own narrative. And then she does it again in this Christian school when this teacher says she has cancer. That's around the same time that Amanda also said her cancer's back.
Yeah.
It's like she couldn't stand it. Other people had pension from their diseases.
Yeah.
It was sick.
It's truly, she's mentally ill.
Yeah,
she is mentally ill for sure. I don't know how to treat that. Or allegedly she's mentally ill because, you can't say.
I'm just going to say she's sick.
Okay. Well, anyway. She goes to court and she's found guilty of everything, right? Now it comes time for a sentence. Well, the prosecutor recommends 12 to 18 months in prison.
Mm-hmm.
The judge gave her 5 years.
Yes.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this crime, this was the first of its type in terms of like a cancer scam that was prosecuted in this way, according to Martinez. And so this was to send a message to people. This was to set an example. Okay. Don't do this, people. First of all, you don't want to have cancer.
Yeah.
And it just aggravates me that some people would do this because there are other people out there who could use that money.
That's right.
And those resources and those prayers and all of that.
Right.
And you're going to fake it and pretend like you have cancer and you don't.
Right.
You don't want to have cancer.
Right.
I'll tell you that right now.
You don't want to have any disease.
So anyway, I get angry.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, she's in jail. And did you know that in her first 24 months in jail, first 18 months in jail, she went to the ER 24 times from the jail.
Did she really? Oh my God.
24 times.
That girl needs attention.
So it would be, my head hurts, my back hurts, I've got asthma. She was taking an asthma test and she was holding her breath. The doctor could tell.
What's that? Oh my gosh.
Brain.
Wow.
Yeah, she's
definitely.
She's not reformed. Like she's not fixed.
Well, and people from her life, like that Lisa said, she's gonna keep doing this. This is why you have to go. That's what she said to Nancy. This is why you have to go after her. She's gonna keep doing this. And she did.
Yeah. She's due to get out in December this year.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. We're recording this as of March 2025, but she's due to get out in December 2025. She's no longer in like a federal prison facility. She's in like this house type of like the next step to freedom thing.
Oh.
Yeah. So here's my hope. And by the way, friends, Catherine and I pray every time before we start these podcasts. And I actually prayed for Amanda because I do believe that people, they can be reached by the Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of her, let's go back to our note because I do want to say this before we get to that, because I want to get to our point 3, which was how do we forgive people when they've lied? Okay?
And tips.
But I want to skip back to the tips though. Right. So yeah, I think it would be very hard if in our church community, if somebody that we knew, that we were connected with, that we saw on a regular basis,
Right.
it would be hard to even question whether or not they have this horrible life-threatening disease.
Very hard, especially when the person is so well liked and so outspoken and so hailed as like this, big Christian person.
Well, they did kind of elevate her like a little rock star. I mean, the church admitted that. A pastor's son-in-law came on the documentary and he talked about how, it was just heartbreaking for the whole church.
Yeah.
But, you trust.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, give us some tips, Cathrine. What say you? How can we avoid being taken by someone?
Right. I really struggled with this, and I kind of, I was Googling, and everything that came up was you were going to give charitable contributions to an organization or, a disaster relief thing. Well, that's not the case here. This is an individual that people knew or thought they knew. So here's in that kind of a situation, ask questions. Always ask questions. That's the number one thing that you should do. Verify information through official channels. I mean, what are those official channels? I don't really know, but just do what you can.
Yeah.
You should, let's see. Oh, although you're giving to someone you know personally, it's usually the safest. Read reviews and feedback from other donors to get a sense of the legitimacy of fund. Don't give by ways that are untraceable. Do not give cash. They say do a credit card. That's the best way to have a traceable, paper trail and such, or a check. Research the organization, if it is an organization yourself, especially if the donation comes from social media. So if somebody is asking for a blog or social media, you need to look into that a lot more. Don't let anybody rush you. You know what I'm going to say too?
What?
There's all this fog machine and disco lights and things like that. Go running up and just throwing your cash out, which is unfortunately what a lot of people did at the church, and that's not traceable. Let's see. Establish a process to thoroughly review any new programs or fund. This is church related. So I'll start over. Establish a process to thoroughly review any new programs or fundraising efforts before promoting them to the congregation. And like I say this a lot, always look for transparency.
Well, I think in this case where she came to her church and that I have this disease, I'm raising this money, whatever, of course they want to help. Christian people, this is what the Christian people do.
Mm-hmm.
I think asking her to go with, and seeing if she allows it, kind of being insistent on it in a way, like it could just give you a red flag. I don't know.
Well, here's another thing, how she got away with it too. During at least 2 to 3 years of it, it was the pandemic. And so when her best friend wanted to go with her to an appointment, this is after that suspicion was cast on her. Amanda called her the night before. She says, "Oh, guess what? You can't go because of the,
Wow."
And that was true at the time. You could not go with people. So, of course, Rebecca was like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense."
Yeah.
But then Amanda says, "Well, I'll FaceTime you."
I'd say too, just be cautious when you want to be generous. Be generous. Let the Lord lead you.
Yeah.
And, that's very unfortunate that this happened. I think it's a very bad example that it happened in a church. The church is not immune to
no
people taking advantage, that's for sure.
Right.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's all I have.
I did want to notate this. If you look at the 10 Commandments and look at how many of them did Scamanda break, broke kind of a lot.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
She really did.
I know.
She coveted somebody else's spouse.
Mm-hmm.
She stole money. Mm-hmm. She lied.
Yeah.
She put an idol in front of God by herself. No?
Yeah.
I mean, she did a lot of them.
Yes, she did.
Sorry. Okay, number 3, third point, how to forgive when someone has lied to you. I mean, I think that anybody listening to this podcast, we've all had people lie to us at some point. It's part of our human nature. We've all lied. I have lied. I have lied to the government. My driver's license.
Oh gosh, I'm like, you did?
It's a big lie. I do not weigh what my driver's license.
Oh, that's funny.
We're human, and we fall and we sin and we make mistakes. this type of lie is has the consequences are pretty big. So what would you say, Cathrine? Give any advice for me or for anybody listening? Like, how can we forgive someone who's lied to us?
Well, I don't have the best answers, but I know that we should acknowledge, our feelings and emotions, seek support, focus on self-care. I'm reading this, but it's also something that I do believe. You need to decide. You need to decide if you're ready to forgive. You need to decide what's best for you. And it's not necessarily what's best for that other person. Actually, it's not really at all. It's for you. You can also decide if you want to pursue reconciliation. You can even practice compassion, but those are steps toward forgiveness. But most of all, I know this sounds very churchy, but we do have to think about Jesus on the cross when he forgave the world and he forgave the criminal next to him when he was being crucified for something he didn't do and he was completely innocent. Again, I know it sounds churchy, but it's the truth.
It is. And just because we forgive someone doesn't mean that we have to stay in a relationship with them.
Right.
So it depends on how deep the wound is, I think, in terms of how the forgiveness is played out. If somebody lies to you, they've got a problem. And it's hard to rebuild trust. So if it's your spouse, obviously get into counseling, get into some serious, because it depends on the relationship.
It does.
If it's like, the woman across the street who I don't even know her first name and she lies about, I don't know, I didn't steal your cat. Well, my cat's in your house. I can see it from my house. That actually happened to me. Anyway. Cathrine is judging me. It wasn't you.
Oh, I know. It wasn't me.
Anyway, okay. That's different because I'm not in a daily relationship with that person. Okay.
Right.
And by the way, I did get the cat back. I said, I don't want the cat. It's the kid.
Yeah.
It's cat. Anyway, long story short, if it's your spouse, if it's your, a close relative or friend, obviously you don't want to throw away a relationship over something that could possibly be fixed. So, but that's all dependent upon circumstances.
It is.
And the willingness has to be there on both sides. I would say this from my perspective as a Christian and as someone who I have had someone lie to me in the church a big time. And I just had to really pray about that, pray for that person, let go of it because it did cause me a lot of grief. I don't have a relationship with that person, and I don't think I'm called to that.
Oh, right. And that's key right there is let go of it.
Yeah, just let go. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Not easy, but it's possible.
It is. All right, let's get to the scripture. 2 scriptures that Cathrine brought to the table today. Proverbs 6:16 through 19 says this: there are 6 things the Lord hates, that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness pours out lies, a person who stirs up conflict in the community.
Doesn't that make you just shudder? Just want to be good?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
And I'm like, Amanda, have you read the Bible? Because it's not good.
Yeah.
And then the other scripture was Revelation 21, verse 8. It says this: as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second.
Yeah. Don't lie.
No.
Do those things.
Come on now. All right. Finally, our call to action, we just say be cautious.
Yeah.
Be cautious. Trust but verify. All right, friends. Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian